Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 49th Annual Conference of the Canada-United States Law Institute. It's an honor to have you all here, and today's program is going to be very interesting, perhaps controversial, but certainly intellectually stimulating, and it's our chance to bring reason, honesty, and constructive dialogue to what seems to be a rather contentious time in Canada-United States relationships. So I'm Steve Petrus. I'm the U.S. National Director of the Canada-United States Law Institute, and it's an honor to welcome you to our conference. I'm going to give you a little bit about the conference. We will have a couple of presentations before we get into our panels. We have 4 panels. At lunch, we will have a keynote speech from Mayor Bradley of Lorain, Ohio. And our 4 panels, our first panel is a panel of journalists, well-noted journalists, moderated by Diane Francis. They're going to give us a big overview of what's going on. Our second panel is a policy panel, which is going to look at the high level of our present situation. Our third panel is going to look at tariffs and protectionism. And then our fourth panel is going to look at the future of rules-based international trade. So I do, if you bear with me, you see a pattern, how we go from the big into the details, and then we look at the future. I would recommend, by the way, that to get the full benefit of this conference, you stay to the very end, because I think the last panel is going to be very powerful. So we're going to begin today's program by welcoming remarks from the Dean of Case Western Reserve University School of Law, Paul Rose. Paul, by the way, this is in his role as Dean, he is now the co-president of the Canada-United States Law Institute. And as a result of that, this is his first annual conference. It's our 49th, but it's Paul's first. So Paul comes to us from the Ohio State University Moritz College of Law, where he was the J. Gilbert Reese Chair in Contract Law and served as Associate Dean. Before that, he taught Securities and Finance at Northwestern University School of Law. And he also practiced law in the Securities and Finance Group at Covington Burling's San Francisco office. Paul writes and teaches about business associations, corporate governance, corporate finance, and is a recognized international expert on sovereign wealth funds. So here to kick us off is Dean Paul Rose.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Steve, for the introduction. It's really a pleasure to welcome you to this 49th annual conference of the Canada-U.S. Law Institute. We have a great venue. It's a fantastic, it's not the best day outside, but it's a beautiful time here with the trees flowering and just a beautiful space that we're able to enjoy this conference in today together. On behalf of Case Western Reserve University School of Law, we're really grateful that you're taking the time to join us for what promises to be really a timely, of course, an important day of discussion and debate. A day like this doesn't come together without a lot of work, a lot of help. We've had a lot of help from our sponsors, of course, institutional partners, many individuals behind the scene that have worked really hard to put this together. Your support really helps sustain CUSLI's mission. And it also, I think, helps to strengthen the ties between our two nations. I'd like to especially thank Steve Petrus, who really is an excellent leader, always positive, working so hard to help bring this conference and just other events together. And of course, he is joined by Stephen Paley, Michael Scharf, and Eric Seiler. They all do an excellent job. Please. So as we gather here this morning, we do so in the context of a relationship that, as Stephen told us last night in our keynote, is really rich in history. It's a complex relationship. The United States and Canada share the longest undefended border in the world. I think about 5,500 miles of connection, cooperation, interdependence. But more than just geography, we share, or at least we have shared, democratic values, deeply integrated economies, a history of mutual support that has helped both of our nations thrive. We have built together one of the most consequential bilateral trading relationships in the world. Each day, about $2.5 billion worth of goods and services flows across our border. Our supply chains are intertwined. Our financial systems are connected. And our environmental futures are inextricably linked together. But like any long-standing relationship, our relationship is being tested. We're in the midst of significant global uncertainty. I think even if everything were going spectacularly well with the Canada-U.S. relationship, this would be a challenging time. There are a lot of economic headwinds, inflation, supply chain fragility, rising protectionism, of course, trade disputes, shifting political priorities, all of which place pressures on international commerce and on our relationship. Trade relationships that once seemed settled are now being questioned. Institutions that once underpinned global economic stability, the WTO, NAFTA, now USMCA, and others are being reshaped, challenged, and in some cases sidelined. At the same time, opportunities for meaningful cooperation are also growing. There are areas like environmental policy, clean energy, digital infrastructure, where the United States and Canada are uniquely positioned to lead. Our nations are rich in both natural and human resources. And we have the potential to model a new kind of cross-border innovation, one that meets the demands of sustainability, economic competitiveness, and shared prosperity. So that's why the theme of this year's conference, the North American Crisis, Dismantling the World Trade Order, is so compelling. And as you got a little bit of insight yesterday evening, that language we thought a lot about as an executive committee. What's the right word for talking about what is happening? Is it a destruction? Is it a dismantling? Where are we in that process? How do we characterize this the right way? At one time, trying to recognize the seriousness of the moment, but also, I hope, offer a little bit of hope and maybe opportunities for us to help chart a way forward. How do we not only react to these current challenges, but think strategically about the future? What kind of trading order are we building? Who benefits from that trading order? Who gets left behind? And what must we preserve in order to protect democratic values and human dignity through commerce? So today's agenda is really designed to help guide us through that conversation from multiple perspectives. As Stephen mentioned, we'll be given shortly some remarks by Mayor Justin Bibb of Cleveland. We are proud to call him our alumnus. His leadership and vision continue to shape the city's approach to economic resilience and inclusive growth. Our first panel brings us to the front lines, where journalists from the New York Times, the National Post, CBC will share how the story of trade is being told and how that public narrative shapes politics and policy. We move to a macroeconomic level with a panel featuring Stephen DeBeer, recently Deputy Minister and Foreign and Defense Policy Advisor to the Prime Minister of Canada, alongside Bank of Montreal Deputy Chief Economist Michael Gregory and Laura Dawson of the Future Borders Coalition. They'll examine how today's policy shifts are playing out across industries and borders. We'll hear from Mayor Jack Bradley, whose remarks will help remind us, I think, that trade isn't just a global issue. It really affects communities and real people in every corner of our countries. We'll take a look at tariffs and protectionism in the afternoon. A panel that includes voices from business, law, local government, mayors on both sides of the border, and the Honorable Peter MacKay will moderate that panel. And then, of course, as Stephen mentioned, we close with a forward-looking discussion on the future of the rules-based trading order moderated by Stephen Paley. We'll think about how legal frameworks and policy institutions must evolve in response to this moment. And our experts will consider, among other things, how we can sustain the idea of fair rules-based trade in a world where rules are often contested, and as many have noted, being contested primarily, one may say, by the country that really pushed hardest, I suppose, to get that rules-based order created, or at least was one of the main factors in creating it. So throughout the day, I encourage you to engage with the speakers, connect with one another, think broadly about the path forward. Our goal is not just to diagnose the problems, of course, but to identify principles and partnerships and opportunities that will help shape the next chapter of North American trade. So again, thank you for being here, for bringing your insight, your questions, your commitment to this shared endeavor, and I look forward to this conversation ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, for those good remarks. At this point, by the way, I would like to throw a big shout out to our sponsors, without whose financial support we couldn't put on these conferences. We have a gold sponsor, the Consul General of Canada in Detroit. Our silver sponsors, Richard W. Pogue, GRL Engineers, and Pile Dynamics, Inc. Our bronze sponsors, the Quebec office in Chicago, Baker Hostetler, Barrett in America, Formica Corporation, Taft Stettinius, Yormic Law, and our community sponsors, Aero Montreal, the British American Chamber of Commerce, the Cleveland Council on World Affairs, the Council of the Great Lakes Region, Global Aero Industries, Cleveland International Lawyers Group, the Northern Ohio District Export Council, and the Ohio Aerospace Institute. I also want to give a shout out to our executive committee. As Paul mentioned, they worked hard about putting together this conference, coming up with our theme, and actually joining together to put on a conference because it was a tense time, at least for our Canadian partners for sure. And so I'd like to thank Andrew Botterell, the co-president. He's the Dean of Western Faculty of Law in London, Ontario. Paul Rose, Peter MacKay, our Canadian co-chair, Jim Blanchard, our U.S. co-chair, Kai Carmody, our Canadian National Director, Ted Perrin and Steve Paley, both co-managing directors, Eric Seiler, our program coordinator, Heather Lorenzon, our development director, and then our members, Martha Hall Finley, Diane Francis, James Graham, Lawrence Herman, Selma Lusenberg, Richard Newcomb, Raul Rosado, Chris Sands, and Michael Scharf. And I also want to mention, by the way, last night we gave out our traditional awards. Stephen DeBoer got the Henry T. King Award, and we'll be hearing from him. He's on a panel. And the Sidney J. Picker Award went to Raul Rosado from Formica Corporation. Raul's a member of our executive committee and a longtime supporter of our institute. So now we're going to move into the substance of the program. And as Paul mentioned, our first remarks are going to come from Mayor Justin Bibb. He wished he could be here personally, but we're going to get a virtual presentation. Mayor Bibb, by the way, has a special place in his heart for Case Western Reserve University due to the fact that he received his master's in business administration here as well as his Juris Doctorate. In addition to that, he's a true politician scholar because in addition to the 2 degrees he has from Case, he also has a degree from American University in Urban Studies and he pursued advanced studies in social policy and economics at the London School of Economics. He became mayor on January 2nd, 2022, and also currently serves as the president of the Democratic Mayors Association. So now let's hear our remarks from Mayor Bibb.
Hey there, I'm Mayor Justin Bibb, and it is my honor to welcome all of you to our great city. As we know, Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, and the state of Ohio are at the heart of a complex web of trade, particularly with our largest trading partner and our longtime ally, Canada. But right now, we're in the midst of a trade war that threatens to shake the foundation of this crucial relationship. As I recently discussed on NPR's Weekend Edition, I'm deeply concerned about the tariffs. If they continue, they could create a national sales tax for our country. And if that happens, it's going to hit our businesses, our workers, and our communities, directly impacting all of us. Cleveland is a critical part of the trade ecosystem with Canada. Our supply chains are deeply interwoven. A disruption in this relationship means real consequences for local businesses, families, and jobs. And it's not just businesses. The Great Lakes, shared between the U.S. and Canada, are vital resources for us all. Lake Erie connects Cleveland to Ontario and beyond, serving as a lifeline for trade, tourism, and environmental health. Canada is not just a trade partner, it's a friend. Together, we've shared the responsibility of protecting Lake Erie for generations. This is a moment where we have to work together as partners and neighbors to safeguard our shared resources and our economies. Tourism also plays a significant role. The flow of visitors between Cleveland and Canada benefits both sides of the border. But a strained relationship could undermine these important connections as well. Despite these challenges, we need to maintain an open dialogue. Respect and cooperation are key to finding solutions that benefit us all. And that includes looking ahead to the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement review in 2026, where we'll have the opportunity to make adjustments for the future. As we face a changing global landscape, it's more important than ever to preserve our partnerships with Canada. Cleveland's future is intertwined with our neighbors, and together we can work toward a shared vision of prosperity and sustainability. Thank you all for being here today and for your commitment to addressing these critical issues in this challenging, chaotic time. Now more than ever, we need thoughtful, open dialogue that builds bridges and not walls. God bless and take care.
Thank you, Mayor Bibb. All right, so a couple of points here. Today's conference is being recorded, and these proceedings will be published in the Canada-United States Law Journal. So you can expect that probably to come out about a year from now. The editors will edit these remarks and put together our booklet and publish it in our law journal. Also, I wanted everyone to know, all the lawyers here seeking continuing legal education credits, the CLE information is available at the desk. You should sign the sheet and fill out the form, and then the activity number will be given at the end of the day, at the end of the conference. Our next item on the agenda is we're going to hear a few welcoming remarks from our Canadian co-chair of the Institute, Peter MacKay. Peter.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen, and welcome to everyone, to our experts, our academics, our lawyers, our participants. And as the mayor has just nicely alluded to, this is a moment in time. It is a moment in time for more dialogue, deeper discussion, agreed statement of facts, as lawyers like to say. in trying to resolve what is a critical issue of our time. And I can think of no better place than on the campus of a university, bringing together individuals like yourself to delve into the detail of how we find that common ground, a return to a better place. I'm reminded of a song called Tears Roll Down the Face of the Earth, where it talks about, I want to break, but I don't want to break up. And that's sort of where we are. We have to get back to that common ground, that place that has been mutually beneficial for generations. And it is time to sometimes put aside the emotion and deal with a very impactful issue that has massive consequences, not just here in North America, but around the world. The rules-based order has preserved peace and a way of life and a better future for generations. And so the consequences are high, to say the least. And the dialogue has to be serious. And that does sometimes evoke strong emotions. But it is a dialogue, nonetheless, that is critical to both our countries and to, in fact, to the entire world. And so I'm, for one, very, very grateful to Stephen, to the university, to all those who have made this dialogue possible. And for those who have engaged, we need to continue to tell more people to engage, particularly our elected officials, who will have sign-off and who will have signing authority to resume this rules-based world that has served us all so well. So again, as a Canadian, but as a friend, as a participant, as somebody who believes very strongly in the Canada-US relationship, I'm heartened in these dark, sometimes uncharted, choppy waters that we have the quality of people very much dedicated to this effort of finding our way back. There's an old maritime expression that says boats are safe in the harbor, but that's not what they're made for. So we are embarking on this journey together, and we will find the lighthouse and the safer way home. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. By the way, those who don't know, the esteemed Peter MacKay, former Attorney General, former Minister of Justice, former Minister of Defense for Canada, leader of the Conservative Party, and above all, a member of our Executive Committee. Thank you, Peter. Next, to give the U.S. opening remarks is our co-chair, Jim Blanchard. Jim, former United States Representative from Michigan, former Governor of Michigan, former U.S. Ambassador to Canada. Jim.
I've always enjoyed giving lengthy speeches about U.S.-Canada relations, but I'm going to be brief because we have such a great lineup of participants in this conference. Thank you all for being here. I would simply say, having relatives from Canada, having lived in Canada, being from Michigan, Detroit area, Michigan, Ontario, Detroit, Windsor is the cradle of cooperation, setting the tone over the last 150 years for Canada and U.S. relations. I think I've seen it all. All I will say very simply is the state of Canada-U.S. relations today is the worst in modern history, and there's no other way to whitewash it. It's not just the tariffs, as Stephen DeBoer said last night. It's the insults, it's the innuendo, it's the contrived criticisms. So what are we going to do about it? It's up to us and people like us all over the country. It's up to the Americans to put this right, actually. It's up to us. Now, I was pleased that last week the U.S. Senate passed a resolution with some bipartisan support, supporting Canada and calling on the President to stop the tariffs with Canada. But as I said to you, it's more than tariffs. It's the relationship. It's the tone. And people like us all over the United States are going to have to work at this. We're going to have to, I tell people in Michigan, by the way, I spoke to the Detroit Area Chamber of Commerce a week ago, and most everyone there agrees with what I've said. So I tell them, well, you know what you should do? Call your friends in Canada. I mean, you know, in Michigan, half the people have a friend or relative from Canada. It's really interesting. Call them up and let them know you don't agree with what's being said in the White House, okay? Let's be real clear about it, because we're going to be the future. Even though I'm older, we're going to be the future of this relationship. People like you and me all over our country. So let's work together. Let's see what we can learn today as we move forward. And finally, let me just say in my shortest speech on record, thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.
All right. The next item on our agenda is we're going to get into the substance of our program with our first panel. Our first panel, by the way, has two panelists, both noted, well-respected journalists, and they're participating virtually. So we need a moment to connect them. So what I suggest is, you know, we'll probably take like a 5-minute break now, get coffee, get your breakfast, and be ready to come back. By the way, for people who are participating virtually, the CLE information will be available for you during the breaks. So let's take a short break, and then we'll be back to start our panels. Thanks.